In my opinion, this film must have cost no more than a few $100,000, yet it's no less gripping than a multi-million blockbuster. The story begins on an abandoned military road that had been forgotten for 20 years. Frank was driving home, a little tired, while his family slept peacefully beside him. He decided to slow down and let the car roll so he could rest for a moment too. Suddenly, a vehicle with its high beams on came rushing head-on. They almost collided, but Frank reacted quickly, avoiding a deadly crash. His wife Laura complained. The children were terrified, but luckily they were safe and continued driving. Not long after, a white-clad woman appeared fleetingly in front of their car. Both Frank and his son saw her, yet when they looked around the forest, nothing was there. Confused and unsettled, they suddenly heard a loud bang on the window as a shadow rushed past. Frank rolled the window down, but no matter what he asked, the woman carrying a child never responded. His daughter Marianne decided to step out for a walk and offer her seat to the mysterious woman. It was only a short distance to the town ahead. After greeting her politely, she turned and left on her own. Ironically, this small act of kindness ended up saving her life. She was the only one who survived the night. The others drove to a service station. Richard, the son, went out to relieve himself while they waited for Marianne. Inside, they found all kinds of tools, and the strange woman handed her baby over to Marianne's boyfriend, Brad. The moment he held the child, he sensed something was wrong. The weight was all off. Then the woman whispered that the child had died more than a decade ago. Thinking it was a joke, Brad lifted the cloth covering its face. What he saw horrified him, and before long a scream tore through the night. By the time the others rushed out, both Brad and the woman had vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, Marianne, still on her own, saw an old car rolling slowly toward her. Through its trunk window, she recognized Brad trapped inside, pounding desperately for help. Terrified, she ran until she reunited with her family and cried out that her boyfriend had been abducted. They immediately gave chase. Frank forced the car ahead of them to stop, grabbed a flashlight, and got out to investigate, with the others following. What they found made Marianne faint. Brad's body was butchered beyond recognition. Frank told his wife to call the police, but when she did, the line filled with a baby's cries and a woman begging for help. Horrified, Laura dropped the phone and urged them all to flee. Driving further, they spotted a road sign for a place called Market. Frank had never heard of it, so he asked his son to check the map. But no matter how hard they searched, the town of Market simply wasn't there. He decided to drive on anyway, hoping to find help. The road stretched endlessly, eerily empty of other cars. Richard was the first to notice how wrong this felt. Then in the back seat, Marianne suddenly awoke, singing in a trance-like state. A baby stroller appeared in the middle of the road, impossibly placed there. Bravely, Richard went to inspect it.
You guys suck.
It turned out to be a cruel prank. Frank pushed the stroller aside, and they carried on, but even after an hour of driving, they still hadn't reached Market. Frank switched on the radio for relief, only to hear agonized screams of a baby. Then came a sudden explosion beneath them. The tire had blown. While Frank repaired it, Richard wandered into the woods, listening to music and dancing around. That's when the mysterious woman appeared again, covering his mouth to silence him before kissing him passionately. Richard, entranced, couldn't resist, but soon her kiss turned violent. She bit off his lower lip. Despite the injury, he grinned mindlessly, as if bewitched. When she stripped off her clothes, however, terror replaced his smile. At that moment, the family witnessed another black sedan approaching. Marianne instantly recognized it. It was the same car as before. Inside, Richard was pounding on the windows, screaming for help. Frank floored the gas to chase it, glimpsing the ghostly woman once more, but he pressed on. In the chaos, he saw Richard suddenly appear in the middle of the road. Distracted by the noise, Frank failed to brake in time, running him over. When they rushed to check, Richard was already dead, burned alive, his body reeking of scorched flesh. Laura descended into hysteria. The grief-stricken Frank couldn't think too much and hurriedly stuffed Richard's body into the trunk to report to the police. While clearing space, Marianne opened a long box and found a gun. She explained it was supposed to be a gift for Uncle Mike, but before long, Laura snatched it. Having lost her son, she too had gone completely mad.